So we are discussing about the formula fields, and as I told you earlier, that the formula fields are the fields that we use to create some calculation, to create some expression, to determine different kinds of outputs based on some input data. So there are like 8 different types of output in formula fields. One is the checkbox, currency, date, time, number, percent, and text. So let's go to an example and see how to create a formula field. So for that, what I'll do is I am going to go to my Salesforce org, and in here we are going to go to the object that is referred in this question over here. So in here, first let's just determine what it says. So it says that we need to create a formula field in case object. So since it says that it's case object, which is a standard object, and since we know the difference between standard and custom object, so what we'll do is we'll go back over here, open our case object. So there are two ways to do that. Either go to this sign over here and click on it. Okay. So either go to this sign over here, the plus sign that takes you to the all tabs, and go to the case object from here. Otherwise, go to setup, and as I said earlier, that you can search for anything from your setup. So just search in this quick find search box and type in case, and you will see the case over under customize, and then just go to its fields. So that's what we need. So we want to create new formula field in case. So for that, I'll first go to the case custom fields and relationships and create a new field, which would be a formula field. Okay, click next, and over here then we'll create the formula. So as I said, we need to create a formula field in case object. So we are here so far. Now we need to name that field days open. Alright, so we'll call it days open, and then it says where the return type would be number. So okay, let's select the return type as number over here. It's up to you if you want to select the decimal places over here. Otherwise you can just keep it 0, that would be a whole number, and click on next. So a formula, so you'll be on step 3 where we have to create a formula. So in here you can see that we can create either a simple formula or an advanced formula. So with the simple formula, if you have to just use some operators like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, or greater than or exponential on all these. So if you just want to use that, you can create a simple formula, insert the field from here, insert the field type, insert the field, and insert the formula. So you'll be there. Otherwise, if you have to create an advanced formula with a number of functions, then in that case you can come to this tab. Alright, now in this question it says that we need to create this days open formula. Alright, so this field should calculate the number of days a case has been open. Okay, so for that matter, let me tell you a little bit about the fields in case. So I'm just gonna open the fields in a new window and we'll explain what it means. So in here you can see in the case fields, you can see one of the field says date time opened. That means it records the date and the time when this case was opened, like when a case record was created. Okay, so my question is that I need to find out how many number of days the case has been open. Okay, so that means today's date minus the case open date. So today's date, for that what I have to do is, so basically the formula for my question would be to get today's date and subtract the case open date from today. So for example, if today is February 1st 2018 and the case was opened on January 31st 2018, so that means my answer will be 2. Today's date minus 31st of January when the case was opened. Okay, and in case if the case is already closed, then set the result to 0. So for that, if you go to case fields again, you will see there is another field that says date time closed. So there is another field which records the date and time when the case was closed. Okay, so for that, let's create the formula. So as I said, in here it would be today's date minus case open date. Okay, so first let's check that out. So today's date would be today minus the when the case was opened. So case open, here it is, date time open. Alright, now what you have to do is, once you enter the formula, you have to check the syntax, whether the syntax that you are using is correct or not. So let's see that. So in here I got the error which says incorrect parameter type operator, expected a number, date, received date time. Why it said that is because this created date, this field is a date time field. So let's go check that out. So if I go back to case fields and I try to find it over here, I see that the created date field is here and its date type data type is date time, right? So this is a date time field. However, today is a date field because it's giving me today's date only. It's not giving me any time along with it. So you cannot subtract a date time field from a date. Both these expressions should be of the same data type, right? So what we will do is we will convert this date time to be a date. So for that, search for functions over here. Okay, you need to go through all the functions over here, but you have categories. So right now I'm dealing with the date and time functions, so I'll just select that. And over here I have these different types of functions. If you just open them up one by one, they will, over here they will give a description and the syntax, how it works and what it returns. Okay, so in this case, if I go to date value, over here it says that it creates a date from its date time or text representation. Alright, so I have a date time. So what I'll do is I will, if I use this over here, if I say date value, so I'm using this function like this, date value, created date, which means it now converted my date time field to date. So in practice what happens is, like, let's suppose the created date was, let's suppose it was 31/01/2018 and the time was 10 p.m. Then in that case, if I apply the date value function like this, in that case what happens is that the result that I'll get is 31/01/2018 and the time is removed. Basically I converted the date time to be just a date, time is removed, right? That is what I needed, because the function that I have today, the function that I'm using to get today's date, this would give me only the date, which is this. So it gives me, today function gives me only the date, and that's why I needed only date over here, so I added this function date value. Now I will subtract both of them and check the syntax, and once we do that, it gives me no syntax errors. Alright, and then we can go ahead with it, but we have a second condition in here which says if case is closed, then set it to 0. Alright, so for that, what I have to do is I have to check whether the case is closed or not. Okay, so in that case I have to use an if condition over here. It says if, insert the field date time closed, blank is blank. Here it is. So it checks whether the expression is blank or it returns a true value. So what happens is that what I need to do is, according to this question, it says if the case is closed, then it set the result to 0. That means I have a field in there which is called as case closed, right? So whenever the case is closed, at that time we'll have a value in here, right? If we do not have a value, then in that case we will calculate this. If we do have a value, then we set the result to 0, right? So for that, I will use the function that checks whether it's blank or not. So I'll say if is blank. So this is my if condition. This is the true statement, else 0. Let's check the syntax. Okay, so it says no syntax errors. So over here now, go through it again. It says if the close date is blank. Okay, if the close date is blank, that means case is still open. Then in that case I need to find out how many days it has been since it's open. So if the close date is blank, that means the case is open. So I will find out today's date minus when the date was when the case was open, and then at the end, if it's closed, that means this yields a false value, then a 0. Okay, so that is how the if statement would work. All right, so here we apply the security and save it. So that is how the formula will be created. Now if you want to check if your formula is correct or not, just go to this page over here and go to cases and create a new case and find out. Alright, so when you save it, go to details. When you save it, you see that the date time open says today's date and today's time, and days open says 0 because it's open today only. So today minus today's date is 0, right? So that is how you can test it, and then let me know if that works.